So I've been meaning to talk about Songlight for a few days now, but I got a cold, as I typically do when it's Freshers Week. This is the first day where I don't sound like I have like a frog in my throat, so I'm going to try and take it easy and not speak too quickly, which is problematic because when I get excited about books, I do talk very quickly. And I have lots of great things to say about this one, so I'm going to try my best. I had so much fun with this. I found it so refreshing, which for YA especially, for fantasy too, I needed that because these genres for me, they're oversaturated to say the least, and it does often feel like you're being peddled the same tropes over and over again. The thing that for me is so out with fantasy is maximalism. I feel like the genre attracts authors who throw everything and the kitchen sink at their story. And so it's a little jarring, but when you're new to that universe and you feel like you have to take a 6 week class just to understand everything that's going on in it, it's a little jarring. So to have this story that is stripped back, very to the point, doesn't take itself too seriously, I was like, oh, what's this? This is quite a departure from what I'm used to in this genre. I'm having a great time with it. It's an unassuming seaside town called North Haven. They are in this conflict, the people of Brightling with the Eilish, over people with Songlight. Sorry, I'm throwing a lot of jargon in. Basically, there's this ability called Songlight that some people are born with, and it's essentially telepathy. And these two warring factions, they seem to disagree over the treatment of people with Songlight. The Eilish embrace them for their gifts. The people of Brightling don't like them. They refer to them as unhuman. And so that's how this conflict has happened. And I liked as well that it takes place years and years into the future where humanity has, like, we've destroyed the planet. Like, fossil fuels have all been used up, weapons of mass destruction. The earth is like this post-apocalyptic ruin. Most of the main characters are named after birds, which a little corny, but I didn't mind it. It was giving me Suzanne Collins. Like, she has an uncanny way of naming her characters that this felt very reminiscent of. But I prefer this to names that are so long and complicated. Like, again, fantasy these days, I feel like the author will say, like, oh yeah, I took Sanskrit and spliced it with Latin, and then I took participles and made them their last names. It's like, you're doing too much. The characters are named after birds. I love it. My favourite character, Swan. Oh, she's incredible. There's a character called Swan, and she's real, like, anti-hero, diva, glamorous. Like, she gives me a bit of the Empress Sudaji from the Poppy War trilogy. She gives me a bit of Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones. Like, I like that fierce female. Is she evil? Is she just self-interested? You go back and forth on her character and whether or not you can root for her. I like that. I like that a lot. My only major gripe with this book, and it's something that I think will be ironed out in the sequel and the book after that, the magic system, the actual Songlight itself, could have done with more development on it. Like, I understand our main character, Lark, she's only just, like, coming to terms with this newfound ability. Like, she's had to keep it all inside because she lives in a town where it's, like, illegal and punishable by being sent to, like, the chrysalid house if they find out that you're an unhuman. So that's why for most of the book she's very much in the dark about what she can do and why it's important. So I would have liked some sort of moment where maybe when she was with the Eilish, if they'd spent more time unpacking the actual etiology of Songlight, like, where does it come from? Is it genetic? Is it in your blood? Because it was kind of giving, like in Star Wars, the way that the Force is explained by, like, midichlorians. Like, that would make sense. And then if it is something in the blood, maybe in later books there can be characters who try and extract it and give it to other people, and then maybe it mutates. Like, I don't know, there's some cool stuff there, but I could have done with more explanation. Where did Songlight actually come from. Something that really impressed me about this as well, though, is that our main character is a female, but she's in a patriarchal society where she can't be as instrumental as she would like to be in moving things forward in the plot. And that felt so just it really felt based in reality to me, and I appreciated it so much, because sometimes in fantasy, especially when there's a female lead, they often become a bit of a Mary Sue where they can do everything, they're so impressive, they break all the barriers, all the men around them are just overwhelmed at their talent. And a part of me is like, yes, female empowerment, love, women's lib, but then also a part of me is like, well, just because it's fantasy doesn't mean it can't be a little realistic. Like, if you're in a world with centuries of subjugation and mistreatment of women, to break all those barriers overnight, I don't know, it feels a bit performative to me. So having our main character be a woman who spends most of her time in her marriage, at home, still making a difference, I thought it was so creative and so it did something different. I was like, yes, you know what? Like, this is empowering in a different way, and I appreciate it. All of the social politics about their wife system. I mean, my goodness, this whole thing could have been a book in its own right. So in their town, the women, there's first wives, second wives, and third wives. The first wives are picked by like the older women to be paired off with the bachelors, and then the bachelors pick their second wives based on just, you know, who they like the look of. It's very like misogynistic and gross, but it felt very real. And then the third wives, they get sent off on a ship to like a brothel out on the warfront so that the soldiers can have their way with them. And it was so upsetting, but at the same time I was like, oh, there's so much to unpack here. Like, this is such a well thought out, interesting, like, absolutely I can picture some gross men reconstructing a post-apocalyptic system. Of course this is what they do with the women. And I thought, you know, bravo. That whole bit could have been a book in its own right, and I thought it was so well done. We've got plenty of other characters. We have got Piper, who is our main character's brother. He is like the gay panic character. Like, he's gay, but the society only wants men to be straight. Like, it's punishable by like going to the chrysalid house if you're gay. So he's like in denial about all of that, and that all felt very tragic and emotional. We also have Rye. Rye's character could have done with more chapters with Rye. I feel like Rye kind of got left to the wayside. Maybe we'll pick up more on him in book 2. He's like the token Songlight character at the start who gets punished for having it. So yeah, I could have done with more from him because he escapes, but then we don't really see what happens there. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. When we are right at the end and Swan poisons Peregrine, she poisons him with like a lemon almond. It's like his favourite snack, dipped in poison. I was confused why she couldn't just make him gag to bring it back up, because she has like a moment of regret where she realises like, oh no, we were this close to peace and my freedom, and then she's messed it all up because she's like a pawn to the main baddie in the series, who's called Kite. Of course, because as far as birds go, kites aren't very nice. At this point, I'm just waffling, and I can feel my throat closing up as well. I don't know if I sound any different. But this is such a sleeper hit. Like, I'm so excited for the sequel of this. Like, go pick it up. Underrated gem, doing things that more people should do. I was impressed.